going to be hard to hear, but most of you have never been wanting. You've been kept for what you did to somebody else's inner world, for the calm you brought, for the attention you gave, the warmth you performed, the way you made loneliness stop screaming for 5 minutes. And that's why most romance doesn't break later, it breaks at first contact. Because the first thing people ask without saying it is, what do you do for me? What do you soothe? What ache do you quiet? What do you stabilize so I don't have to face myself? What do you bring to the table? And most people don't understand that if the answer is enough, you're chosen, and if it isn't, you're replaced. And that isn't love, that's an intake form. Because if somebody actually wanted you, they wouldn't need you to perform. Right. It's hard to hear, but they wouldn't need you to perform. They wouldn't require a constant stream of reassurance. They wouldn't need you to manage their moods. They wouldn't punish you for having an off day. They wouldn't disappear when you stopped entertaining them, because want doesn't need you to keep proving you're valuable. It doesn't. Want is what stays when nothing is being produced. And most of you have never been met there. So you confuse being useful with being loved. You confuse intensity with intimacy, and chemistry with recognition, and somebody needing you with somebody being able to actually see you. Because the illusion keeps you warm, but you don't realize you're the one freezing still. That's why many of you start relationships underwater. It's just the truth. Because the relationship begins with fixing, overgiving, being good at love, managing the vibe, performing safety, whatever you want to do, holding someone else's nervous system together, and you'll call that commitment. But it's really not, because if repair is needed immediately, it means the bond was never built on want, it was built on function. It was built on function. You were hired, you weren't held, and that's why fixing kills the intimacy. Because every time you fix somebody, what you're actually saying is, I don't trust you with yourself. That's what you're really saying. You're not loving them, you're containing them. You're extracting effects. The effect of being needy, the effect of being good, the effect of control, the effect of safety, and calling all that effect devotion. That's what you're doing, right? But the moment they stabilize without you, or the moment that you stopped over-functioning, the relationship shakes because they weren't attached to you. They weren't attached to you. They were attached to the role. And some of y'all are still clinging to the prettiest lie of all. At least I was still wanted for my beauty. Okay, that's not happening either, because you weren't wanted for your beauty, right? You were wanted for the effect that your beauty produced. So beauty is an accelerant, right? It delivers validation, status, arousal, admiration, social proof. So you're not being wanted, you're being cast. Because capture this, right? If aging, illness, boredom, and silence, if any of those threatens the bond, then it was never want, it was benefit attached to appearance. So I can tell you the whole scam, because this is what masquerades as love. Chemistry, intensity, affection, reassurance, consistency, sexual desire, admiration, being needed, being chosen, being beautiful, and being helpful. None of those are love. All of those are states, and those states can be transferred or replaced or upgraded or withdrawn at any moment. And that's why they don't survive the truth, because a real relationship should increase self-honesty, but self-honesty exposes fractures, and those fractures reduce wanting capacity. So honesty punishes the relationship, and the relationship punishes honesty. That's the real trap going on. So what is repair? Right? Because there's a difference between fixing and repair, right? Because repair is not talking it through, it's not reassurance, it's not compromise, and it's not effort. It is withdrawing performance without withdrawing your presence. Right? Letting disappointment exist without rushing to soothe it. Letting fear sit without treating it like some kind of emergency. Letting someone face themselves without you buffering that impact. Stop buffering their life, right? I'm being honest with you. And that terrifies people, because when you stop performing, they finally feel the emptiness they've been running from. And they'll call you cold, they'll call you distant, they'll call you selfish, when really you just stop feeding the illusion. Because want is not a feeling. Want is a capacity. It's a capacity. Catch what I just said. Wanting someone requires these things. Seeing them without reshaping them. Letting them disappoint you without controlling the fallout. Staying present without extracting reassurance. And wanting their existence even when it produces nothing for you. That's why it's not romance culture. That's why it's adulthood. And that's also why most people can't do it. Because most people were never wanted first. Hard to tell them. So no, right? You're not broken for wanting to be wanted. Right? You're not broken for that. But you will never get there by performing love. You will get there by surviving the moment and the moment that you stop being useful, right? Surviving the moment that you stop being useful, that will take half of you to love immediately. I'm just being honest with you, right? And finding who can still see you on the other side of being a tool. That's repair. That really is. That's reality. And the room does get dark when you begin to stop being a tool for others. It sure does. It really does. Because no one's going to be there to put out those lights but them, because they need to live their life. You really do need to love people for the life they live. It's hard to tell others that, but it really is the thing, because the illusion of love cannot exist in the same space as the truth of love, and that's going to be a hard thing to get for some folks.